I don't wanna waste my life. I don't wanna waste my life. I don't wanna waste my life. Sometimes when the beat hits, it's just some things there's no going back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not the one with the issues. I hear you. Now here is your tissue. If I'm moving too fast, I might have to dismiss you. And it's really too bad, cause I really will miss you. But I'm not the one with the issues. I left them at church when I made it official. I murdered the curse with my own benediction. Left God in the dirt, call it death of the fiction. Superstition will be served in eviction. Competition will be left in a ditch. Oh my God, it's too damn hot in this kitchen. The fishes are men, I'm not sleeping with fishes. Oops, my bad, I guess I'm moving too vicious. Verses sold, I gotta put them on your wish list. Bless my soul, cause I'm dodging your little hit list. I guess you know you just lost another witness. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go right now. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go, I'm out of here. I can do anything, fuck your opinions and energy. I finally got the epiphany, my biggest hindrance was God can't do nothing but fail. Greater is me, I never needed your deity. All of this human capacity, when it gets rough I can pick myself up and prevail. Cause I don't need anything other than people who fuck with me. Cause business, it starts with your company. That's why your boy is obsessed with community. Cause greater is we can create opportunity. Doing what God never did, cause a God never could. But the people is all we need. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go right now. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go, I'm out of here. Let me go, I'm out of here. Let me go, I'm out of here. Let me go, I'm out of here.
What's up, family? Welcome in. How are y'all doing today? Man, I hope y'all are feeling okay. I hope y'all are recovering from the State of the Union address if you watched it last night. How are y'all doing? Thank you for being with me on this Wednesday. Let me see here. I know I got a few announcements I need to hit. Oh, I love it. Loving the song Beautiful. Speaking of music, man. So we've been launching music and honestly, this was actually just a little project because as our community is growing, like we're global, so we're not all gathered in one place. And so like, but we do have a lot of musicians, we have a lot of people who are talented vocally, people who used to be in praise and worship and that type of arena who still want to be able to use their talents for something for some social good. And so we started writing these songs and putting these songs out here really just for our community to have a point of reference, so that we can work together later, and actually do more with the songs. But now it's just kind of become somewhat of a little hit. We got, I ain't trying to brag, but like in a month, we got 30 Spotify monthly listeners. And I'm like, oh, snap, look at there. Look at the goodness of people. Ain't that great? Isn't that grand? But yeah, this has been a wonderfully busy week. I I was supposed to be talking about connection today because we talked about that last week and I didn't finish it, and I told you I wasn't going to finish it, and I said we'd pick back up part 2 today. Well, apparently I lied. We're not picking up part 2 today, but it's actually a really good reason. We'll pick up part 2 next week. But like I often have conversations with my patrons because they can direct message me there. This would be a great moment to shamelessly plug my patron. Like if you would like to become a financial supporter of the channel, that's one of the ways you can do it. If you want to become a financial supporter of the community, you can go to bridgecity.app/give. So there's a lot of really things there. But I got to talk a little bit with I got to talk a little bit with one of my patrons over this week because they can direct message me there, and we were talking. And man, what's up, Charlie B? Charlie saw music. um, and so I had a patron who shared with me their deconstruction story, and it's so much aligned with mine. I mean, it wasn't 100% parallel, but there was so much of it that reminded me of my story that I actually kind of wanted to share a little bit from it, and we'll just kind of have that conversation all together today. And so today will be a little more casual. It'll be a little less structured. I'm going to be a lot more attentive to the chat. At least I'm saying that now, but my neurospicy might kick in. And so, hey, so judge me by my heart. My heart is to be more attentive to the chat today. But I really wanted to have this more casual conversation about deconstruction, and especially, well, let's put these two together: deconstruction and deconversion. Walking through that process, what it looks like, and so yeah. I am a little tired. I don't know if y'all can tell, but man, this has been one of the busiest weeks of my life. Now, for those of you who know, not only do I do this, I'm also a father and a husband, and two of my kids decided to do soccer and track at the same time. Both of them are doing both sports, and so this is a very busy season. And then also, I'm on the hunt for DLDD World Group for that side of the house. I'm on the hunt for a head of sales. At this moment, we have like 150 plus products out there, and things are passively going. And I just kind of realized that it's time to get operationally functional. And so we're doing interviews and stuff this week, and we had to build out our talent acquisition process, and that's a whole nother thing. And then tonight on the global campus for Bridge City, we're having our first new member house party. And so for all you Bridge City folk out there, I hope we're going to see you tonight. We're going to play some games. You got to bring the food and the drinks, but we'll bring the games. And so it's been a long week already, and it's just Wednesday, ain't it? And then not only that, like, we're starting a new series Sunday called The Greater Gospel, and y'all ain't ready. I'm telling you now, y'all ain't ready for that one. It's going to be cold-blooded. And then we're doing a Q&A with our core team on the global campus next week as well. And we have movie night coming up this Sunday night, which we're kind of doing somewhat of a deviation for this movie night. We've been doing funny movie nights so far. We did Dogma, we did Idiocracy. We opened up our first movie night was with a documentary. And so this movie night will be the documentary of Good Trouble. It's going to be hosted by one of the people on our core team, Bob Swanson. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So a lot of things going on this side of the planet. What's going on in your world, y'all? Talk to me. Tell me what's going on where you are. Can I get a hell yeah out there, a jalapeno or a habanero? Hope you guys. Oh yes, man. It's a wonderful new. Well, it's a wonderful new world out here of different technologies and opportunities. So yeah, let's talk about deconstruction. Why did you walk away from Jesus? Why did you walk away from the church? And I plan on stopping quite a bit. I'm actually going to read a little bit of this exchange from one of my patrons. I'm not going to share their name because I didn't ask their permission, so I wouldn't want to do that. But I want to read their story, and I'll probably obscure some of the details, just so that we can all kind of have a point of reference. And I thought, I'm just going to jump in it. I'm going to jump in. I don't even need to prep it. It's already too good. So what we're talking about today, we're just going to have this conversation for those of you that are coming in a little late. Today, we're talking about deconstruction and deconversion, and ultimately what that journey looks like for different people. As I said earlier, one of my patrons reached out to me and shared their deconstruction story, because that's typically like one of the first things I'm going to ask. One of the first things I ask once people do reach out to me on Patreon, as we kind of, it starts with the pleasantries and all of those good things. And then eventually, if the conversation continues to go on, I'll say, well, what led you to my channel? And nine times out of 10 is, hey, I was deconstructing, or I deconstructed a long time ago. I deconverted a long time ago. and your content brings fresh perspective, and that's really the goal. Like I don't know if you notice, my goal really isn't made to change Christians' minds. It's to help those people who are straddling the fence and the people who are already over the fence. It's to help them navigate and find life, and to kind of really reorient themselves, and not feel like they're crazy or that they've lost their mind because they're rethinking this handed down fairy tale that all of us have had to deal with. All right, so let's jump in. It's I'm a white Gen X woman. See, white people watch me too. See there? I'm a white Gen X. Did I say white woman twice? I think I did. Uh, love your heart and mission since deconstructed, and I'm looking for like-minded people here to work with to create a community outside of all the dogma. Love your content. That's absolutely beautiful. Was born in a Jehovah's Witness worst doomsday cult ever. All nonsense and full of lies. So glad I left. Oh man. Honestly, the day that I realized that I was an atheist, like I didn't necessarily go through an angry atheist phase. I was too busy going through an angry black person phase. That was mine. Like the being a black person took up all of my anger, So like the moment I realized I was an atheist, oh my goodness. I was or the moment I realized that I no longer believe in a God, it was like, psh, bruh, you can literally just walk away from the bullshit. You can literally no longer have to deal with it. Recovering Pentecostal here. Wow. Have been loving the content for almost a year now. Man, that's amazing. That is beautiful. I also come from the Pentecostal background. Shout out about Sataya. Yeah, I was all up in there. I love. Oh man, y'all don't want to get me started. Y'all don't want to get me started. Okay, so we got a white Gen X woman born into a conservative but not highly rigid Southern Baptist family in the Deep South. Made her profession of faith when she was baptized at 10, but it was around 12 to 13 when she began studying the Bible on her own in earnest, and she wanted to understand God's will for her life. And that was like that got me into the story. Like you had my interest, now you have my curiosity, right? Like that immediately drew me in, because that was very similar to me. I was born into a I would say my family is pretty much they're conservative Democrats. Like you don't get it when you're still in the faith. Like the lines of conservative and liberal or progressive are very like direct before, but then like after you kind of deconstruct and you deconstruct more and more of the world around you, it's like, damn, I don't even know what these words mean anymore. Like what? Whew, Jesus, like it's bad. It's bad. You see what I did there? But my parents, or my family rather, I went through an angry white person phase. See, Dutch Reformed X here. Hey, I get it. I get it. But my family was definitely more on the conservative side when I think of it, as a person who definitely considers myself more forward thinking, more progressive. Because my family, they were Christians, but kind of like she describes hers, they weren't rigid, but they were Christians. Like they were committing all of the sins. You know what I'm saying? But they were still going to church, like every now and then. Devout Christian, loved God. One day I was at work and something stopped adding up. Why does God need me to serve him? I realized then that Christian heaven was a creepy place. Heaven is a very creepy place. It's incredibly creepy. Like there's even a point when they're talking about it where you're in God's mouth. And I'm like, why would I be in God's mouth? It says you got to be hot or you got to be cold. You can't be lukewarm or God is going to spit you out. And it's just like when you start thinking, like, why the hell am I in his mouth? Why am I in his mouth? And wait a minute, you said I got to be hot or cold. So if I'm really good or I'm really bad, he's still going to eat me? And so like really the only way not to get eaten is to be lukewarm. I'm sorry, that was just a little neuro spicy rant. Yes, heaven is a very creepy place. Like my next recorded video that's coming out is about the book of Revelation, everything wrong with the book of Revelation. Oh my goodness. It's just odd. It's odd. I'm going to have to come over here and look at y'all's chats on my other computer. damn it, and I'm gonna have to lean. Look, these glasses, they don't work. I still gotta lean in. Man. Oh snap. There's no way I'm gonna be able to keep up with all of these chats. Y'all are on it today, man. I love it. I love it. Prayed constantly and genuinely loved God. I left because of the blatant misogyny. Yes. I just couldn't make excuses for all of the hateful rhetoric in the Bible. That is so like it's a really hard thing, right? Ultra conservative background. Man. Wow. I am glad that my content has been helpful in that way. Started questioning when I became a mother. Ooh, hell became unfathomable when I held a baby. Now let me tell you something there. Being a parent, who like now I sincerely loved God with my whole heart. I've been trying to love him in with everything within me. And then when I became a father, man, dad really started cracking a lot of that dissonance because like one of the biggest things was like, I don't want to hand my children something that doesn't work, right? So it watch this. It wasn't even just that it wasn't true, because you'll see as we go through this as we go through the deconstruction story today, that like a lot of us start wrestling with the fact that it might not be true very early on. So it wasn't just the fact that it might not be true, it was the fact getting my first degree in social science helped me realize like, no, this actually might not be helping. Like literally, this might be a distraction from helping. And you can see that very clearly in many communities when like you got a problem like gun violence in the community. And the legitimate solution is we need to put prayer back in schools. Like that's a problem. And then I'm also looking at families fall apart who are trying to operate by this stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to give my children something that's not working. I believe in God, but I don't know why Jesus actually had to die for a creation. It's like me creating a car that I have to off my son to start. Right. Like there's so many loopholes here. It's like, wait, what? Like that's one of the things like that's one of the things that I really do try to help people realize when dealing with the story of Christianity in particular, like the logic is so circular that it doesn't have a reasonable foundation in the first place. Like someone asked me like, well, what if Jesus really did rise from the dead? And I'm like, well, number one, I can't make that leap. Like I can only play that game in fiction. You know what I'm saying? I can only play that game in fiction. But then like, even if it did, that still wouldn't prove he was God. And he said, why? Because we don't have any rules that says this is how you prove God, and resurrecting is not, one of them. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna make up a word. The circularity of this thing. Ooh, I like that. The circularity or circulosity. We're gonna play with it. But it just doesn't make sense. There was no reasonable reason to believe it in the first place. And that was one of the ways I kind of gave myself grace to step away, was just realizing like, dude, it is 100% okay to no longer live by the misunderstandings of other people. Like, no, at one point in human society, belief in explicit religions, and I'll be nice, belief in explicit religions would have been a reasonable hypothesis. At some point in human history, there would have been a time where these explicit religions could have been a reasonable hypothesis because of our vast ignorance of the world that we lived in, because we were isolated in the small tribe. So at one point, no, it was reasonable. By the time this shit starts actually coming into formation, we are long past the point of reason. Like, it's like, no, we know better, And so now it's just like giving ourselves permission. And that's what my deconstruction story was like. And I think I had the benefit of having a dysfunctional family. So because I see some of you who come from privileged families, it might be harder for you because you're like, no, it's working for everybody. No, I came from a highly dysfunctional family, and I'm like, this ain't helping none of y'all. And I've been trying it with I just thought it wasn't helping y'all because y'all wasn't doing it right. You know what I'm saying? I just thought it wasn't helping y'all because y'all was sinning and y'all backsliders and all that stuff. But I've been trying with my whole little heart, and this shit ain't helping me either. You know, like, so, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Was a pastor and a worship leader. Man, had to dial back my morals, shut off my critical thinking. Okay, let me get over here in this chat in my other computer. I wonder, can I biggie size this? I'm going to try. Oh, I can. Bam, boy. I need this to go away, though. All right, y'all hearing me talk to myself. I'm sorry. But no, it's man, it's beautiful. Hey, Levi, you need to be, and maybe it's Levere, but I'm thinking I don't know. I'm gonna call you Levi until you correct me, okay? Because I don't know any better. But dude, you need to be on the Bridge City campus. Like, come build what we're building. No, I love that. And I love this line here. To stay in it, I had to continually dial back my morals. And that's what our next Sunday session series, that's why it's called The Greater Gospel, because it's realizing that, you know what, once we leave that restrictive, coercive environment, our empathy is actually able to expand. So we can actually shift from loving my neighbor to loving everybody. We have the greater gospel. Like, man, and that's, to me, that's something, and maybe that's just because I'm a former pastor, but for me, that's something to shout about. No, I feel good now realizing that I don't have to have all of these reasons to dislike somebody before I even know them. You know, like, whoo, my goodness, that was liberating for me. I'm sorry. I hate that this chat is so hard to navigate because I want to read all of this. Man. Good morning, Brittany. I love seeing it. Yeah, it's outdated modes of reality. Like, at one point, some of these things were reasonable to think when you did not know any better. And that's what became scary for me, is realizing, like, bro, okay, we live in like we don't know better when we actually do, and we've actually known better for a long time. So like this is the longest cosplay ever. It's time to end the game. Where is Jigsaw when you need him to send a little doll out and say game over? Like, because at this moment, like, damn, how much longer is this game gonna run? We playing pretend for way too long. You know, I'm sorry, y'all conversation got good. Oh, I love this. Someone said, you left because you obviously like to get high. You are a faker who hates on Christianity from a platform of total ignorance, dressed up in the rhetorical clothing of reason. I think somebody's a little butthurt. You know, that's the one thing about Christianity that most Christians don't realize, is like it turns them into children. Right? But I mean, the whole religion infantilizes them. It is you're my little sheep. You're my little children. This is why they can't help but act like kids. They don't know any better. Like, let me tell you, like, since I'm an adult in the room, let me tell you what an adult does when they come across something on the internet that they don't like. They don't watch that shit, especially like if it's a stranger, because guess what your utility is. And this is one of the reasons I don't really play in the secular community that much either, because it's just like, oh, to me, just going back and forth with a bunch of strangers is a waste of my fucking time. That's not something that I'm really here to do. And I'm talking about like in comments and shit. And I'm like, no, like the likelihood that you're going to change somebody's mind as a stranger is so low. It's so low. And so it's just like, that's when I know we're not really using our using that thinker. You believe in a God, use the brain that you believe that you believe that he gave you. Now use it. Use it and lose it. Oh man. Wow, the God's Plan video. And you know what? That one didn't even get a lot of likes. The God Plan video didn't get a lot of love, but it was very important to me. And so I'm glad that it helped somebody else out. I'm glad that helped somebody else out, man. I go back and listen to the old songs I love, like "Work It Out," and she says how I'm gonna pay my rent, all my money spent. I'm like, well, do you have a budget? No, work it out, work it out. Well, y'all don't know nothing about music. Oh snap! I believe God created our finite universe, but if God is infinite and the universe is finite, there is no way for there to be any direct interaction. It's like trying to put the ocean in a cup. Jalapeno. Yeah, that's. I did a video about that, and then at that moment, then God becomes virtually useless, and then I'm like, yeah, then that's. But I found you from your collab with Mindshift. Oh, I love Mindshift, man. Oh yeah, Mindshift is excellent. Comes in and turns on the projector. That's right. Oh man. Use the brain God gave you. But then also lean out into your understanding. That was literally the language. Where I am not going to be able to keep up with all these comments. Y'all are in here today. Y'all are in here today. I walked away from Jesus after being in a gay relationship with a church queen who thought deliverance was real. Deliverance never happened, so he wanted to be, wow, accountability partners. That's, oh, wow. Like that, because that happens. Well, that type of relationship happens so much. I've seen it a lot in the Black church. And so, like, I'm glad to see that that's one of the things that led to the deconstruction and deconversion. Because, like, at some point, like, I don't know, what the hell am I doing? I'm not about to be playing this game now. Like, look, I love that. I love that. Man. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's why so much of my content is focused on critical thinking. I get punished for it sometimes, but I'm like, I don't care. That's the message. Like we need, like, it ain't, because it's not just about religion. It's about the way we're approaching, like the mess we're in the US is definitely correlated to our lack of critical thinking, our lack of depth in thinking, our lack of nuance in thinking, our lack of recognizing, acknowledging, or having any type of awareness of what we don't know, of being able to say, oh no, I don't know that. Like, it's people who are not aware of what they don't know who can be convinced of anything easily. Because if you're not aware of what you don't know, then you just believe everybody. And like, no, I don't know enough to believe you. I don't know enough about the subject to believe you. I don't even know why you're talking to me about the subject. I'm that type of person. That type of person. Man. Oh, yeah. Oh, Greek language. I've had my Strong's Concordance since I was like 11 years old. I don't have it anymore. I don't even think we have a Bible in the house now. I don't think we have a Bible in the house now. Which is, like, I don't think we threw them away. Like, I don't never remember going through a period of like, let me burn all my Bibles. I'm not really a book burner. Like, now, if you do one of those things where you bring something down, throw it in the bonfire, I'm not against that. But like I'm not a book burner per se. So I don't know how, but the Bibles just disappeared. All of the Bibles in our house went away. All of the Bibles went away. All right, so let's get back to this deconstruction story. So what this person had in common with me is that she gets saved at a very young age, made a profession of faith, was baptized at 10. It was around 12 to 13 when she began studying the Bible on her own in earnest. And what she wanted to understand was what God's will was for her life. And that was me at 12 and 13. I wanted to understand what God's will was for my life. And it's funny because I was less impressed or persuaded by the baptism aspect. So like baptism didn't really mean much to me. And I guess that's because I got baptized as a Baptist, at a little, I think, what was that? Damn it. What's the name of that church? Can't even remember it right now. Every name that's coming to my head. Bertishaw Baptist Church. Resist the devil and he will flee. Right, Bible. Okay, I'm out. Right? Look at there. I love that. That was too smart. That was too smart. And so I was definitely like trying to I want to know what God's will for my life was. I went through the phase where I got baptized at the little Baptist church at Bertie Shaw, and the only reason I got baptized is because I wanted to be in the water. Like I'm like, oh, we get to be in the water. You kid and water. You live in the South. It's hot. These churches don't have air conditioners. The baptism pools seem to be like the best place to be at that time. But it was after I got saved, which I remember, for those of you who've been following me for a while, I got saved in a little Pentecostal holiness church. It was called Bible Way Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ. And then I got filled with the Holy Ghost with the evidence of speaking in tongues at a little storefront church around the corner. And I was just walking by and it said, sound like they having church in there. And I didn't even know churches existed in business places back then. And so I went in there, I was like, man, they having church and somebody's prophesying and praying over people. Their fingernails look really dirty, but I guess they know what they're doing. But that's the night I got filled with the Holy Ghost, with the evidence of speaking in tongues, as they would say back then. And then, of course, that made me somewhat of a phenomenon, because the black churches hadn't got on to the early bird special yet. Like, what I had realized is that many of the white churches in my city, they already had young people speaking in tongues. It was like a regular thing for them. I'm like, damn, y'all got 7-year-olds in here speaking in tongues. Not at damn sure wasn't gonna happen at Bertie Shaw and Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ. That's something that you do when you get older, when you get old enough to know that you pretended. You know what I'm saying? But like the other churches, they were starting them off young. So I was somewhat an anomaly in this little Pentecostal space because I was young and I spoke in tongues. And as you can tell, like the charisma I walk in today, I've been charismatic ever since I got here. That's why charismatic churches were attractive to me. But so I got filled with the Holy Ghost, and the language is, God has a plan for you. You're anointed. You're called by God. What do they say? For such a time as this have you been called, and so then I'm like, oh snap. Well, if God is calling me, then I really got to figure out what his call is. And then of course, the more you're in service, the more you're in these church services, you're being inculcated with this language that says, God has a plan for your life. I know the thoughts and plans that I have for you, thoughts of good and not of evil, And again, I think Brittany mentioned earlier, lean not into your own understanding. And so it's like, we walk by faith and not by sight. And then I remember the story that used to get me. I think it was a story between one of the Elijahs and Gehazi, I think. And they were surrounded by military, or they were getting ready to go into battle in the military. And there was so many people on the battlefield, and the servant was like, man, bruh, I don't know how we're gonna make it. And then Elijah was like, Lord, open my servant's eyes so that he may see. And then a dude now he's seeing with his spiritual eyes. He sees that, oh, they are surrounded by an army of chariot folk from heaven and shit like that. And so I'm like, I gotta make sure I'm seeing what my spiritual eyes did. I don't even know what my spiritual eyes are, but obviously if I'm not following God's plan, I'm going to miss something. If I'm not walking if I don't find the will of God for my life, I'm going to miss something. I can tell you for sure, for the whole time I was looking for the will of God for my life, I was losing my life. I was losing it. Let me see if I can jump back over here to some of these comments real quick. Can't get this thing to scroll. Yeah. If you don't remember the day you received the Holy Ghost, you didn't really have it. Like that, man, that stuff is horrible. That's right. Hell is impossible if God is omnipresent. Like I remember somebody saying that, like, yeah, because that's the way Christians started trying to redefine hell. They started saying, well, like, hell is just anywhere God's presence isn't. And I'm like, well, you didn't get that from the Bible, because, David, and we can argue that he's not really using the word hell, but it's what Christians accept as hell. David says, if I make my bed in hell, there you are with me. And so it's like, yeah, there's a problem. But I realized Christians didn't really believe in omnipresence. At least Black Christians didn't. When I don't know if you ever seen any church fights. Maybe your churches was holy. But you grew up seeing a few church fights, and like the one line that people always say, nah, I'm gonna take you off God's property. I'm like, wait a minute. I ain't gonna fight over here because this is what God is. So God is not over there? Like, that's very interesting. Oh yeah. Also, when the promises of God in the Bible consistently don't pan out, you realize the stories of the Bible are not real, and therefore hell cannot be real. It's like, yeah, it's like, wait a minute, there's too much wrong here for any of this to be right. And at some point, you stop just going down the rabbit hole. You're like, no, I've seen enough. And for me, it was getting like all the way down that journey and realizing like it's not that there's so much wrong with the Bible. There was never a right reason to believe that any book could be the word of any God until you had a valid reason to believe in the God first. The God has to exist first, or at least in this case, for a narrative God. It's like it don't make sense. It doesn't. It's not, no. and it's like and I think that's a challenge for many of us because some of us want to feel like we had good reason to believe it in the first place. And it's like, no, you never had any valid reason to believe that a virgin gave birth. No one ever presented you any evidence. That's not how that happened. And that's why I spend so much time unpacking things from a social perspective, because like we can talk about the psychological harm, and we need to talk about the individual psychological harm, but we also need to understand the larger social implications, because this is what it was for me. Like literally, I'm sitting down in 2014 as a pastor, coming to terms with Darante. Do you remember where you started this journey at? And I'm like, yes. You remember when the math wasn't mathing? And I'm like, yes. And what was your commitment? My commitment was to give it my all, to study, to keep the faith. And my understanding was that eventually one day I'm going to meet somebody who's found a way to make all of this shit make sense, that they've learned how to use they spiritualize, and they got their gift of discernment on fleek, and maybe they praying and soaking in the presence of the Lord enough to where God is finally going to come down with them and talk to somebody for the first time in history. Now, what I realized at the end of that journey is that not only did that never happen, but that quite a few, in my case, the majority. And when I say the majority, I'm only not saying 100% because I have to be responsible. But it felt like every damn body, the majority of them had never taken the belief seriously enough to actually do any deep diving. So I was socialized into this. Grandma believed it, mama believed it, daddy believed it, whatever. Society around me kind of believes it. And then I've read the Bible, and that's it. For many, that was the depth. I've read the Bible and Bible adjacent literature. And then I realized, like, whoa. Does nobody not see the problem here? Here it is. You're attaching yourself to an ideology that you believe is the most important ideology in the entire world. You believe this thing is worth what you consider your eternal soul. You believe this with your whole heart. You say that this is 100% true, and yet you've never even done the research. We have a greater problem here. This is not just a sign of bad faith. It means that the issue is bigger than we thought. The issue is not just people believe bad things, it's that people are completely disconnected from understanding. That people are compartmentalizing understanding. And again, that doesn't stop at religion. And if we think it does, then we're part of the problem. The same thing that makes a person accept a religion as true without ever actually investigating the religion. And that's how most people accept religion. No one who became a Christian properly investigated it first. But now we're in a society where anything can be said on a screen. where we live, where people do not know they don't know what they don't know. They don't know how to understand, because one of the biggest damages of religion in contemporary times is disconnecting people from cause and effect. So now anything that seems like it could be is. I'm sorry. Let me come back over and look at the chat with y'all. It cuts it off so fast. Man. I deconverted in 2014. Like over the years, yes, the devil made me do it. Oh, poor fella. You got the child in here again. But yeah, man, it's a wild world out here. It's a wild world out here. And so, like, we can use who is this? This person right here. These people don't even they don't know how to think anymore. And that's when I start realizing, like, dang, bro, you've been seeing this for a while. So many of you know, like, one of my earlier videos, for me, it was getting up from the children's table. That's what leaving Christianity felt like for me, is getting away from the children's table, getting up, saying, nope, I don't have to play this anymore. I don't have to do this anymore. And I like that. I absolutely love it. It's freeing for me. It's liberating for me that I don't have to be where anybody else has been. All right. So back into this story. She said she wanted to understand what God's will was for her life. I was there. My confusion began immediately because this was definitely not the instruction manual for life that I'd been sold. How many other people were told that the Bible was the instruction manual for life? That this is what basic instructions before leaving Earth? Is that what it was called? Basic instructions before leaving Earth. She said, no, it didn't work out like that. She said, outside of the familiar stories or proof text verses, I couldn't make heads nor tails of it. Jesus in John didn't sound like Jesus in Mark. Paul seemed to contradict James, and so on. That was me. That was me. Like the first time I read the Bible as a child, long before getting saved, I read the Bible and I was like, oh yeah, this is mythology. This reads just like mythology, especially the Old Testament. And then like when you get saved and you're trying to take it seriously and you're like, no, these people have told me that God has instructions for my life here. And you're trying to find them instructions. It's like, bruh, like, why couldn't he just make it plain? Why do I have to learn about how many people got their foreskins cut off to find the instructions for my life? Why do I have to read about assault over assault over assault to find instructions for my life? Man, like, no, this is wild. This is wild. Oh man, I wish that arrow worked better. Train up a child in the way that they should go. Bruh, like, been there. Yes, always felt guilty that the Bible was supposed to be my life source, yet it always felt like reading a book of physics. Like, God, like, if you're supposed to be just trying to tell me about my life, like, what am I supposed to learn about this? And this is a great point. What we ultimately end up learning is that humans are really, really bad, and God has to constantly punish us. You know? And you have to think about what that does if this becomes a part of our cognition for generations, you know, like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Like going through, like, actually maturing in my faith, if you will. And it's kind of like maturing in my delusion at the same time, because you finally get to a place, most pastors do anyway, where you realize, okay, like, no, it's a whole bunch of stories that have been mixed together, and like God's hand might have been behind it, type of thing, but it's not really what we thought. And then that's when you kind of feel like you finally matured. And he's like, but wait a minute, that's actually antithetical to the way this was presented in the first place, though. Um, no, it was rough. Like trying to walk through that and pretend like this was helping. And what ends up happening though is like you have a society that gets shaped though by that language, by that imagery, because because we were constantly baptizing ourselves in that and calling it good. We were constantly teaching ourselves to call like the worst maniacal characteristics ever good. And this is why I see why America is in the condition that it is in. Like, but I also see why humanity is in the condition that it's in. You know, this is like we have to like you want to save the world, we got to think, man. We got to think. Traumatized by being told I was worthy of hellfire for some reason. What did I do? Like this mofo changed his mind like 4 times in 2 books, and I was told he doesn't change his mind. That yes, he's the God that changes not. Within him there is no shadow of turning. And yet he keeps changing his mind like he's flipping the channel. I don't want to watch that. And he literally says it. Just recently, I have stopped believing in God. I cannot stress enough how much cognitive dissonance I have had. Dang it, I got to scroll up. Sorry. They're coming in fast. Trying to rationalize everything the church teaches or what was taught specifically. I have a Christian coworker. We get along fine, yet he has so much cognitive dissonance when it comes to faith. Yeah, it's there. Like the cognitive dissonance, y'all. It's real. I remember when I was like, and this is in my book, Black Nonbeliever Next Door. I think that might help with some of the comments. But I was sitting in Drama 101. Like it's not a heavy college course, right? Drama 101. Never forget the teacher, Dr. Bill Lipscomb, incredible guy. I think he was either from Louisiana or Mississippi. But he taught, damn, dude, get your words. He was talking to us about the concept of suspension of disbelief. And I had never heard that phrasing before. Like I'd never heard suspension of disbelief. Like it didn't even feel right. Like the words didn't feel right. Like the first time I heard the word something has to be falsifiable, I'm like, hey, you're gonna have to run that back by me because that word don't even sound right. You sure you didn't just make that up? So suspension of disbelief, it was just like, what? Suspension of disbelief? Like suspension of belief, I could understand, I can understand. That's right. No child should be told you're going to hell. That is a form of child abuse, especially if you actually believe in a place called hell. Like if you're telling a child they're going to hell and you're pushing them to believe in a literal hell, that is traumatic as hell. No pun intended. No pun intended. Whew. So I was sitting there in class and he started talking about suspension of disbelief. And I said, can you explain that a little bit more for me? And he says, yeah, it's like when you go to the movies to watch something like Superman and you allow yourself to temporarily believe that people can fly so that you can enjoy the moment. And I was like, ooh. Because as a Pentecostal who had been like formerly very radical in my Pentecostalism, I was realizing that, oh, snap, that's not only what I was doing, that's what a lot of people were doing. I'm like, damn, that's what I'm doing at church every Sunday. I'm pretending that God can actually heal, even though I know God has never healed. And that's what I knew experientially. I'm pretending that God can heal so we can enjoy the moment. Even though I know God does not speak, we're all pretending that God is speaking so we can enjoy the moment. We're all in here suspending our disbelief. I cried myself to sleep so many nights of my childhood and well into adulthood because I feared for people going there, and I feared that I might go there too. Nightmares about waking up and my parents were raptured and I was left behind. That's scary stuff. Hey, dark light, bruh. Paganism saved your life, right? Like, no, like it's rough. It's rough. And so that's when I realized, like, oh yeah, no, there's a for me, giving me a language like that helps me a lot. Like, oh snap, there's there's literally a phrase that identifies precisely what I'm doing, which means this is understood. So this isn't a mystery. Um, man, a prepper because of the rapture teachings. I've come across more preppers than ever before, and that's a very traumatizing way to live. Man, thank you, thank you. Yeah, the sin thing, like, man, like, can you imagine being a teenage boy, like having to cry every time you touch yourself? That's like, wow. Like, I go back and look at myself, like, bro, you were weird. You were weird. You touched yourself, and then you're going to apologize to God about it, and like crying. I'm so sorry. I won't do it again. I'm just so nasty. And it's just like, bruh, like that's what we're doing to people. This is like, and I don't know if you think about this on a larger scale, man, you easily see how we get where we are. The majority of people we're dealing with have been modeled or molded by trauma. Man, playing the music at church to heighten an emotional mindset. Yes. Walked away from Jesus because the Christians who went to the Catholic Church didn't do as Jesus instructed. They were actualizing Jesus' teaching. Jesus said to be perfect. Man, they weren't actualizing. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. You start realizing that you become that, like you my biggest concern, like one of my biggest concerns is that, like, if everybody crying about touching themselves, if everybody praying and fasting and trying to make themselves more spiritual, and they think that's what's going to make the world a better place, then who's actually making the world a better place? Who's actually doing the work? And like, that's what became scary for me. It was like, no, when you pay attention to what the fuck is going on, it is clear why the world is in the condition it's in, because 90% of us have been wasting our time on bullshit, crying about bullshit, fighting about bullshit, spending money on bullshit. And it didn't just stop at religion. Yeah, that morning wood needs to get chopped down. Hey, lumberjack needs not feel good to you. Come on, I like that. I love that. Being unworthy, unclean, begging for mercy, incredibly toxic. I dealt with depression like my whole life, like seriously. And then one day I realized, dude, you're singing songs like I give myself away so you can use me. You're singing songs like here I am to bow down. You're singing songs like, like, dude, you're literally singing, I must decrease so that he must increase. You're singing, I'm nothing without you. You have not fed yourself. And the worst part about it, you've been giving all of that good nourishment, all of that good nutrition that you could have been giving yourself. You've been giving it to some invisible motherfucker. Like, and if the invisible person was who everybody claimed that person was, they would not need it from you. I do not need my children to tell me how great I am all day long, because I am a good father. Damn, that's good. No, when you become a good father, you start reading, hey, this motherfucker bad. He's sleeping on his job. Man. Matt can't see your comment. We can see your comments. I don't know. Religious teaching have an interest in putting the church or clergy as intermediaries to the good as it gives them authority. That is why I think so many things that feel good are shamed. Absolutely. And just that issue of having intermediaries, that's probably one of the most harmful leftover fragments of religion that still even operates in society, that operates outside of religion and society, where we feel like we need someone else to interpret life for us, or we need someone else to tell us what to do. We need someone else to be right for us. Like, I speak with the confidence of knowing I could be wrong. No, yeah. Number one, because I don't believe in perfection. And so I give myself just the freedom. I'm here, and I give other people the freedom too. I don't need anybody else to be my intermediary. So when someone else is wrong, guess what? I'm like, nah, I'm not. You need to get your stuff together. That's not right. You need to say it right. No, because that literally has no utility. That's that leftover superstitious baggage. I'm sorry. Christianity at its core, it does teach self-hate. It teaches self-hate. Right. Just let people live their lives without pushing low information philosophies on them. And like that has definitely become a major concern of mine, is like how everybody is an expert on what everybody else should be doing. Well, like, when that's not what we see you putting your time in. How is all your time going into video games, but you're an expert on everything else, and because you say so, I should believe you? And that's one thing like that I refuse to do. I don't tell anybody to believe me. These are my thoughts. This is my perspectives. I'm one blind man touching the elephant, and you touching your side of the elephant. Be careful where you're putting your hands at. It's an elephant after all, But like, okay. I don't know if we're gonna get through this letter, y'all. I don't know if we're gonna get through this whole email. Yeah. It's funny, man. The relationships that we have with religion, and especially this society. I know, like, yeah, just admit it. Just admit it. And well, that kind of became a thing for me. Like, and this is something that I noticed that people still don't really like to harp on, but I harp on it every time, every chance I get. And that's the fact that, like, when I look at this, Christianity was presented as a monotheist religion. Like, the entire time I was a Christian, I was under the impression this is a monotheistic religion. And then you actually get when you actually start allowing yourself to remember what words mean, it's like, well, that's actually kind of not true, because like there are several gods, and I'm not even talking about the ones that get called false gods, but angels by definition in any context would be considered gods. You don't get to change the rules of what gods are just because it's in the book. And so it's like, no, it's like you got an infinite number of angels. You got people that got special powers. Like, yeah, you can get as many gods as you want out of Christianity. Oh, y'all are too much. Man. Yeah. It's well, like, to me, one of the most harmful things we've gotten out of religion is, like, I look around at the state of people, and I realize, like, people no longer know how to interrogate their own lives. And I was one of those people. I was for damn near 30 years of my life, I'm sitting here treating my life. I'm treating the condition of my life like a mystery. For 30 fucking years, I'm treating my life like a mystery. Like, I don't know what's going on. Man, maybe it's the devil doing this. Maybe it's God doing this. Maybe someone's praying something against me over there. That might be some spiritual warfare. And it's like, no, dude, you broke in a capitalist system. It's not spiritual warfare. It's math. And apparently you've been really bad at it, because I wasn't even allowing myself to treat the world like I was really seeing it, because I was too busy trying to live in it as the way the Bible told me, or not even just the Bible, but the way the church culture that I was a part of was telling me to engage the world. And half of the time, many a time, the people were just flat out lying. Like, and that's the thing that really, like, pissed me the fuck off, was finding out how many people were flat out lying. Now, it pissed me off then. I understand today, but no, there's so many people in Christianity are flat out liars. They're not even always trying to lie. It's performative pressure. That's what happens when you put people in that type of environment. But you got people who are telling others that God did something miraculously in their life. Like, for example, someone gives this testimony that we didn't know how we were going to pay our bills. And number one, that's not a flex. Why is that something everybody's saying every damn Sunday? We have a problem. But no, someone comes and say, we don't know how we were going to pay our bills. And out of nowhere, God just covered everything, but didn't tell the part about them calling every fucking person in their family begging for money. And I'm like, so you got somebody out there listening in a similar situation. And it's like, see that? No, God is going to provide, baby. Did you hear what Sister JoJo just said? She prayed, and God made a way. And then ended the testimony and say, y'all don't you depend on man. God is the only one you need to depend on. Just flat out lying. And then somebody's out there sitting out there hearing you tell that lie and thinking it's the truth, and then neglecting to do what they're supposed to be doing in their own lives. You know? Yes. Probably exists. Yes. Like it's mind-blowing. I knew pastors who would claim to know things prophetically, but they're getting the information from a gossip circle. You know, some of these churches got entire gossip networks running through them. People know how to get the information to the pastor so he can look like he prophesying on Sunday morning, like he hearing from the Lord. Sister Mary, the Lord just spoke to me, your son. I see handcuffs. The Lord is showing me in the spirit. I see red and blue lights and handcuffs. What happened this weekend? You know? And it's like, what? Why does God need our money, but the devil doesn't? That is such a great, that should have been in a George Carlin skit. Man. Yeah, easily make up some stories about Ben. It is absolutely abuse. It is absolutely abuse. It is negligent, and it disconnects people from cause and effect. And y'all are going to hear me say that probably to the day that I die, because it's probably the greatest crisis of humanity right now, is that we're not connected to the how of anything anymore. You know? Someone can tell us why, and we don't even know how. You know, like we're disconnected from that cause and effect. Man, at best, Jesus was a human being who died and is now long dead and rotten. Literally, that's the best that story gets to. And it's like that's where you finally just realize, like, yeah, I think I'm done. Man. Why is there proper right? Yeah. Well, like one of the most one of the things that was incredibly disappointing for me, because that was a question I had, like, wait, now, how does so much misinformation about Jesus persist? And just kind of going back to what I mentioned earlier about the preachers not investigating and not actually interrogating their faith. It's not just them being lazy. Yes, that's lazy, but it's because society is lazy, you know. But they're taking society's word that this is already true. They're using the mental shortcut that so many people accept it, so it must be true. Therefore, I don't really need to interrogate it. And that's why I say, like, no, I'm not gonna give myself permission to know something that I don't know. Everybody else can know it. I don't know it yet, you know. But so they're not interrogating it, and so they're doing that because they live in a society that says, hey, it's already true. You don't have to verify it. And so you're now borrowing certainty from majority. You're borrowing certainty from popularity. It's popular, so it must be true. Well, like, here's the scary part. Like, even when academics are talking about, or at least for the up into the last 50 to maybe 75 years, even when academics have talked about Christian religion, Christianity in particular, they have just taken the word of the church. So a lot of stuff that was even considered to be true history up until 75 years ago, for the first time, because people are actually saying, like, maybe these people are not very trustworthy historians. People are actually going to verify. It's like, wait a minute, there are quite a few of these people that may not have actually existed at all. How did we get this far without knowing that? Well, remember there was this period called the Dark Ages, and after that, the church is the one that came out victorious, and they got to control how the story was told. Okay, man. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I don't interact with the comments a lot because it's a lot to keep up with, and I cannot see them all, and I am visually impaired, and I don't want to be doing this the whole time because then you can see I didn't shave as good as I probably should have. All right, let's jump back into this story for a little bit. That's right. For centuries, people had to be a Christian on a pain of death, so people were Christian. Like, that's not a point in its favor. It's quite the opposite. It is quite the opposite. All right. So she says she was under immense pressure to be a high achiever. Combine that with a sensitive conscience and calls for youth to be sold out for Jesus. I seem to be constantly coming up short. I assumed the problem was me and not the text and not the belief itself. My spiritual framework. And thank you. That's the hard part right there. Like, let me read it again. She said, seem to be, I assumed the problem was me and not the text and not the belief itself. And like, because you're already told that the belief is true. You're already told that the belief is perfect. And you're told that anybody who doesn't believe it is at risk of hellfire. Now, if that's not golden handcuffs, I don't know what are. You know, like, hell, they ain't even golden. Those are rusty ass handcuffs. Let's put it that way. Those are rusty ass handcuffs. You got these handcuffs on now that says, if the Bible doesn't work, I'm the problem because the Bible is perfect. If the belief system seems immoral, I'm the problem because the belief is perfect. Like, and again, do you see how that disconnects you from cause and effect there? Like, it completely underwrites how we approach why things and how things happen in our lives. You know? So I'm not getting it, not because it doesn't make sense. I'm not getting it because something in me is keeping me from understanding it. And maybe it's my sin. Maybe it's that I secretly touch myself sometimes. Maybe it's that I cussed at somebody. You know, maybe it's that I had a bad thought. You know, maybe it's because when I left the bank, I accidentally took the pen. Or maybe it's because I purposefully took the pen. You come up with all of these things, and the harsh reality, at least the way I dealt with myself, is none of that shit has anything to do with anything. And that's what Christianity does to your mind. It gets you focused on stuff that has nothing to do with your actual life, so you're not even paying attention to things that are important. I found the strength to walk away after watching your videos about the lies the church told you. Wow. All my life I've been deathly afraid of hell. I feel free from that thought now. That is beautiful. That is beautiful, y'all. You see here, listen, I was going to say we're setting the captives free. That's a quote. You Pentecostals, you should know that one. Set the captives free. But people are freeing themselves. And to me, that's the way forward. I don't get to take ownership for that. I don't get to take credit for it. Anybody's story can be just as powerful as mine. It's just that somebody has to be, more of us have to be doing it. And there's already a lot of us doing it, and we can have some more. So I love that. That's beautiful to me that someone watched a video and was like, yep, I think I'm ready to walk away. We're still in Black History Month, ain't we? Yeah. So I'll say this. Black History Month moment. Y'all know I was a former Black nationalist. That was my that was my approach to the world. And one of the things that, okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. And I'm gonna leave it alone because I literally forgot it. I was going somewhere with that. Was it about hell? A bunch of great Black revolutionaries out there, man. Oh man, we have such a beautiful history. It was something about, was it about hell? Damn it. I don't know. My wife just got finished reading Asada's book, which I think she's going to talk about it on her channel. Frederick Douglass was like one of my favorite characters. Whew, dang it. I wish I knew where I was going with that. I wish I could remember where I was going away from that thought. I had to walk away from it all. I was depressed and increasingly mentally disillusioned. Among other things, I was dealing with spiritual abuse from my last church. I feel better now that I left. Yeah, that was like, I put up with so much abuse in my life. Oh my goodness, it was horrible. Was never that deep in Jeebus, just here to get a better tool set to help others get free. I love that. I love that. And that's the thing. Like, I love when that's the approach. Like, let's help other people get free. There it is. Now I know where we're going. You cannot free slaves. That's where I was going. Cannot free slaves. If you're freeing slaves, you're still treating people like slaves. Okay. You know. I've always had a love-hate relationship with Farrakhan because of his relationship with Malcolm, and his relationship with Khalid Abdul, I think. Yeah. But no, like, and so I don't like to think of our work as freeing slaves or liberating slaves. I like to think of our work as helping people rediscover their humanity. And I'm a firm believer. Just a heads up, some comments are being blocked. You may want to review your city. I wonder why are comments being blocked? That is so weird. It's supposed to be a free for all today. I wonder why that's happening. But yeah, dang it. Now I lost that thought. Oh man. Because now I'm really wondering, like, I wonder how that's happening. Let me come on this side. Move out of my way. Oh, and thank you for the super chat. See, it doesn't show me when it's a super chat on this side. Thank you. All right, so let me jump back over here. Maybe that other thought will come back to me. But what do you consider when you get a minute? Shoot it my way. And it just, yeah. I love it. Okay. Oh, hold on. I got to read that. Scientifically, religion is the interference of the dead into the lives of the living. Everyone in that book is dead. I like that. I think I like that. It is. And people are still trapped there. And I'm like, man, why are we doing this? Why do we think they do better? Why do we think they do better? You know? Okay, so said her first spiritual train wreck came in high school when she ran across the verses in Hebrews about those who go on sinning, and it freaked her out pretty bad. After hearing a preacher ask from the pulpit if Jesus had really changed their life, she had to answer no. At 17, she was still basically the same person she had always been. And if that doesn't feel like a mind fuck, I don't know what does. Like, because everyone else, like, the only way you can give the right answer is to pretend. The only way you can give the right answer is to pretend. Like, so has Jesus saved your life? Or has Jesus actually changed your life? Well, considering this motherfucker doesn't exist presently at all, the answer is going to be no. The answer is going to be no. But if I say no, then I'm the bad person. And so many people say, yes, he's changed my life. And then they kind of self-narrate to find a way that he said, well, he woke me up this morning, didn't he? You know, started me on my way, clothed me in my right mind. And then you start giving him credit for things that people did. You know, he gave me that job. Did he? You know, he made sure my rent was paid. Are you sure that wasn't you? Or your family members? You know? It gets there, but when you're actually trying to do it right, it can make you a target. And in this case, and keep you in this cycle of having to come back over and over again, which of course makes the church looks good, right? The church looks good when people are coming to the altar. If nobody's coming to the altar, the church looks ineffective. You know, the power was in me. I had the power. I love that. Oh man. Now that I'm free of the cult of Christianity is still challenging because my large family and most of the people I know are still trapped in it. Yes. And that's the reality. That many of us, now again, this is why we do the work we do at Bridge City, because we're trying to create spaces that makes this easier. Because that's what we're gonna need. We're gonna need, because a lot, in order for more people to wake up, it has to be easier for them to do so. You know, they're not, most of them are not going to wake up across across a defense line. Most of them are not going to wake up because we're yelling at them and calling them stupid. You know, they say it every time. You know, God gave him the job. And then as soon as well, he got something better for me. Well, if he had something better for you, why didn't he just give you better the first time? You know, this is like, it's constant. It's constant having to keep yourself locked into something that isn't really helping. And so, like, even when you're honest, and like she was, no, he hadn't changed my life from 12 to 13 to 17. I'm still basically the same person. He's not done anything, but just like she said earlier, instead of realizing like, hey, there might be something wrong with this system, she says, you know what? It must be me. It was doing research on the Christian religion and realizing Christianity's role in the transatlantic slave trade. Yes. Yes. Reading a lot of those papal bulls, man, boy, that did not make me like Christians. And I was not a fan of white people for a minute. Like, oh, whoosh. Y'all should be glad I'm a humanist, man. Like, oh my goodness. Right? Yeah, that's funny. I remember my sister got a good job one time, and I was like, Jesus did it. And she was like, no, I did that. And I was like, oh, you're going to get in trouble. Look at you now. You know, that's real. Because I was definitely like one of those people, like, glory to God. Like, all glory goes to God. All glory goes to God. You know, and that's a horrible way to live. You know, like I remember breaking down one time, and this was close to my deconstruction or close to my deconversion because it was in 2014. And I'm like, bro, what, like, why are you always like, why do you feel like you can't make it through anything? And I'm like, because you don't actually give yourself credit for making it through anything. Everything you've ever made it through, you tell your story as if you're just some victim laying down in the road and God is dragging you through it all. Instead of being honest with yourself that, like, no, I had to navigate that, even though I navigated it poorly because I was delulu, but it was me during the navigation. And as soon as I give myself credit for that and realize that, damn, I was navigating it poorly because I was delulu, life got real better, you know? Because, yes. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. And so she goes back down to the altar because she says, no, my life hasn't been changed by Jesus. And so maybe I'm not doing it right. And that becomes almost everybody's relationship with religion, with Christianity, who are trying to live by it. It's like, maybe I ain't doing it right because it ain't working. I've been paying my tithes and I'm still broke. You know, I even participated in little other offerings and stuff that they wanted me to do. And still ain't nothing happened. Like, no. Like many young people, she says, I did a lot of altar calls and rededications. Nothing seemed to stick. So I figured I must not really be saved, and God wasn't helping me out. Man. Yep, only God did that. Only God did that. And I'm like, now, that's one of the reasons, like, we got a confidence crisis in a lot of communities because of religion. But like, you kind of need a confidence crisis in order for people to lean on to authoritarian systems. people need to not trust themselves in order to easily trust somebody else with all their decisions. And the Bible does a really good job of kind of cultivating that viewpoint that no, I can't never know, I can't ever know enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so fragile. And then, look, I'm wicked. My heart is wicked and deceptive above all. And that's why God gives us leaders. And I'm like, no, we have to shift away from that worldview. But in order to get there, we got to give people the credit for what people did. People need their credit back. This is what happens when you bankrupt society's esteem. Yep. Why can't I get the so-called free gift? Man. So she decided to leave church for a while. She then has a very bad breakup, and that breakup gets her back in church. And she spent her 20s through early 40s trying different denominations, different hermeneutics, becoming a bit of a theology wonk, always in search of the correct interpretive key that would not only help the scriptures make sense, but unlock that spiritual growth and peace I long for so dearly. And that goes back to the instruction manual thing, because now you're literally feeling like, if my life is not working right, it's something in this book that I'm not understanding, and my life is never going to work right until I understand this book. And so I got to give this book another try. I got to maybe the first time I tried it, I didn't I just really didn't understand it. Hui, like this is draining. Like, that's, damn it. And so, because ultimately, and this is probably a really good point, ultimately what people are looking for from their relationship with religion is something that works. So that's why I think one of the quickest ways to help people get out of religion is just to remind them that it doesn't work. And it's not just reminding them that it doesn't work. What do we have to do? We got to help them find what does work, but we can only do that in good faith if we're actually looking for what does work for our own lives, because that's what they're looking for. When people go to the Bible, just like she's kind of sharing here, when they go back to the Bible, when people leave church and they come back, they're looking for peace. When they come back, they're looking for some way to understand the world that they live in, because they were, oh, thank you about affirmation song, because they were sold this idea that all of your answers are tied up in this one book, and you're never going to have that peace until you figure it out, until you figure the book out, until you solve the mystery of God. That's forever layaway. Your peace is on layaway forever at that moment. She says, at the same time, I was fearful of stumbling upon some obscure verse or a bit of theology that would undo everything, and threaten my sense of assurance, which was very scarce on the ground. I wrestled with that for probably about 10 years. The more I began to deeper dive into theology, the more I began to deeper dive into the church fathers and the early histories, because I'm looking at this stuff now like, wait a minute. I'm reading things. By this time, I'm reading things with a critical mind, and I'm trying to put roadblocks on my mind to keep myself from going too far. So I remember reading some things about, it might have been Eusebius at one point. And I got kind of like on this rabbit trail of like, well, how do I actually know he existed? Type of thing. And I did not like where that led, and I stopped. It does not encourage one to take accountability. As a matter of fact, accountability seems like it seems like condemnation. I remember one day, like, because People are like, you just think you better than me, don't you? You know, and that was really popular in a lot of churches I went to. Somebody was always mad at somebody for thinking they was better than them. And I remember asking myself one day, who the hell am I for somebody not to be better than me? There are plenty of people better than me at a lot of things. Like I ain't even got time to waste. Like, why would I waste my why would I waste my time thinking about that? But that just shows you like church culture gets us caught up in a lot of things that are not healthy. Ooh, the addictive organization showed me the toxic dynamic between narcissists and codependents in so many churches. I have not heard of that book, but oh my goodness, I got to find it. I've got to read that now. That sounds highly intriguing. Man, any collabs in the work? None at this moment, because I'm really not leaning into the content creator model. So the majority, when I'm not making content, I'm working with Bridge City, and so you'll see a lot of stuff from the Bridge City crew. But at this moment, like I think I don't want to say I'm done with my collab phase. Actually, I do have a podcast I'm supposed to be on next month. But yeah, you're supposed to be there for God, right? It's weird. And I saw somebody ask me about Bridge City. Let me come over here. Da-da-da-da. Oh, let me get this. I missed this super chat earlier. I am sorry. Besides the Bible, what book helped you get out? Ooh. Well, see, I'm really glad you asked that question because I do see that a lot of people, for them, it was a book that helped them get out. It wasn't for me. It was 2 decades of ministry. So when people ask me like, hey, why are you an atheist? It's just because, oh, I got a good memory. I got a good, right now I do anyway. I had a good memory. And so it was more so giving myself permission to just be honest about what God hadn't done, you know. Have y'all watched Westworld? I love the Westworld remake that they did on HBO, and I don't remember if it was the end of season 1 or the end of season 2, where they started talking about. I cannot remember the person's name who initially platformed the idea, but it was an idea about the bicameral mind. Now, I do think much of the bicameral mind may have been defunct, but I love the way they used it in the story to describe the robots kind of come into consciousness. And it's Dolores, and she's sitting there at this point, and she's hearing the voice of her creator, and she's hearing her voice at the same time, and she's kind of walking through the story, and then she begins to realize, she comes to this realization that, oh, it was my voice the whole time. There was never a creator's voice there. That was always me. And in her case, it was really true because she did create herself, type of thing. It's very weird, but that was my relationship with deconversion. Is that coming to the realization that, like, yeah, there really wasn't a God there the whole time. It was that's the end of season 2. Thank you. It was me. It was me the whole time. It was when I thought the voice of God was speaking to me, it was my voice. When I thought, the devil was getting in me, that was just me. And that's one of the harmful things of especially the more evangelical styles of Christianity, is that it retrains you to the good and the bad. Yes, it retrains you to assign your internal voice to external forces. And so, like, which really, like, does a lot of damage in so many different ways. But how can you ever hold yourself truly accountable of anything if you're always under the influence of some external force? Man. Ooh, when society becomes an addict. I'm gonna have to keep this chat up so I can see all of this when I get off. Our inner voice is God, thus removing our agency and accountability. Exactly. Man, y'all are on one today. Y'all are on one. I love it. I'm gonna throw this on the screen real quick as soon as I can find it. Someone asked about the Bridge City campus, and because I am in the Sunday session studio, I think I have that link here. Yep. Oh, you can't see it. Okay, so let's do this then. Bam. QR code. So anybody that's looking for to get connected to the Bridge City Global Campus, you can hit that QR code on the screen. Was praying for answers and found that at a thrift store. Didn't make me too popular. That's funny. Oh, okay. I'll put the link back up. I just didn't know if y'all could see it through the chat or not. But it's basically bridgecity.app/hello. bridgecity.app/hello. And I won't leave it up too long because I don't want people to think I'm out here just shilling for Bridge City today, which I am. Like, I'm Bridge City's #1 fan. You know, like, I'm the founder. I should be. But like, our community is fucking awesome. We're having a new member house party tonight. I'd love to see any of you there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take it down. Okay. I left Jesus because that lifestyle wasn't who me, Jeremy, was. Yeah, I definitely realized that, like, man, it was me deconverting. There was a little bit of grieving, right? Because I had to admit that, bro, you've not been you. And you've been trying your best to be somebody else based on bullshit. And that's a lot to be putting yourself through based on bullshit. And so, like, I had to spend some time, like, really getting to know myself. Like, and I think I've shared this story so many times. Like, I realized, like, I don't care about most of the stuff that my particular church culture wants me to care about. I don't care about who's sleeping with who. Like, I really don't. I don't. Like, and I guess maybe you can thank Christianity for that a little bit, but it was just like, it just feels like gossip to me. And I started wondering, like, why is God such a gossip? Because, like, in the cultural context I come from, God is always telling other people business to other people. And I'm like, why would God just be telling other people business if you can just talk to the person? God is such a gossip and a voyeur. Why is he watching everybody have sex? So it's like, God is weird, you know? Man, I left God alone. Are you committed to goodness? If you don't stick to Jesus' scripture, what or do you what or who or what do you reflect on to maintain your essential goodness? For me, goodness was fundamentally redefined for me. And I think I wrote about this in my first book, Insignificant. When I was watching my two sons interact one time, they're about 4 years apart. And so my oldest son was maybe 7 around this time. And they were in the back seat. We were on the way to church. And I threw my brush, because I used to have hair, y'all. So I threw my brush in the back of the car. And I said, hey, brush your hair, then brush your brother's hair. And it was one of, like, the little hard brushes. So he brushes his hair. And then I'm watching through the rearview mirror. And I'm noticing that when he's brushing his brother's hair, he's like being like real soft. And I'm like, bruh, you're not brushing his hair. And what kind of that there was a moment where that kind of clicked for me. He was trying to protect his brother from harm. What he was doing was thinking, like, yeah, this is the hard brush. And I know normally it hurts to get your hair brushed like this. And so I'm going to take the easy way. This easier way. So it's not like he's not trying to avoid brushing his brother's hair. He's trying to avoid hurting his brother. And so I know I took the long way around there, but for me, goodness comes from paying attention to how our interactions with others impacts them and impacts ourselves. So goodness stopped being a mystery to me. I actually for a while stopped using the word good altogether for a minute and shifted to using the word beneficial, because I realized, like, I had been making good decisions for like my whole life that had really bad outcomes, especially for me. But it's just kind of like, and that's why I love the question. It's because we've made goodness something mysterious. We've made goodness and morality, um, and just kindness, just something mysterious. And that's what I mean when I said earlier that we've been disconnected from cause and effect. Uh, Goodness is as much as a social construct as any other social construct. It is the result of our interactions and how they impact our psychology in the world, and even our sociology in the world. And so it is, it's the altruism, and so it's the same way children can recognize goodness at even a very young age. Like you can have a child that's naturally, or you kind of think is naturally a brat, and then they go yank something for somebody else, and and you're like, yeah. But then after a while, if they look around, and I've seen this, they look around and they see the other child like really hurt about it in a way that they've been hurt, and it kind of, oh dang, I didn't want that to happen. I just wanted the toy. I didn't know me getting the toy would lead to you somehow. I didn't know you have feelings the same way that I have feelings, type of thing. But like, no, that's how we. And I guess for me, the proof of that is like, if there is no God, then there's no other way that we got goodness, But and it's not something that's, to me, it's just no longer mysterious. We see it among humans. We see it among other species. We see it among animals. Like, I think religion has just overcomplicated something that's just really not that complicated. You pay it, decrease harm, increase well-being. I think if we have people looking for a guru to tell them how to be good, that is the greatest prevention to goodness. Is like, if you cannot tell that when you're doing something it harms someone else, there's a label for that. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I think that's what we have, because religion definitely could religion could make you feel like you were doing good even while you were visibly doing harm. And that's scary. But that's the result of separating people from cause and effect. I've seen people, especially in prayer meetings, be physically, like, damn near assaulting people. And they know that, no, what I'm doing is wrong. But because I sought an intermediary for goodness, I can now be convinced that I don't have to pay attention to the cause and effect of my interactions with others. But if I'm paying attention to my cause and effect, the cause and effect of my interactions with others, and it ain't even just got to be about that I care about them, fuck them. It ain't even got to be that I care about them. It's I care about my ability to safely exist in this world. So even if my approach is completely selfish, I can still I can still interact with goodness by seeking what is best for me. And it's not going to be best for me to be out here treating everybody like bullshit. Somebody going to punch me in my face, and I like my face. I really do. Love Jesus or burn in hell forever. If I said that, you look at me as crazy. Yep. And this is one of the reasons why I do encourage people to, like kind of stay away from like online like rage bait, because we'll forget that goodness is actually easier than we think. It's hard online because you're not treating each other like humans online. You're treating each other like commodities online. You're treating each other like bots that need to be defeated. But when you start back having conversations in person with people that you actually know, you begin to remember what goodness feels like. Jalapeno. All right, we're almost through this letter. I cannot believe it's taken us this long to get through this letter, but I did say I wanted today to be more casual, and I wanted to spend some more time on the chat today, and I appreciate your engagement in the chat. Let me make sure I haven't missed anything, because I got to go back and forth between these screens. But okay, so she then says the breakdown came when she was 41, just 4 years into her marriage. She'd married married somebody with counsel that they were free to marry, even though the husband had been married before and was divorced from his first wife. But the correctness of my decision haunted me because I knew that Christians had a lot of different opinions about divorce and remarriage. Like, yes, it's very aggravating how many opinions they got about divorce and remarriage, about that they get these opinions from a book that does not have one healthy marriage in it. It's amazing to me. Dang, that's there's no mod in here today, so I don't know what's going on there. But that's Matt, maybe are you using the phone? Because I know someone else said they were having that theirs were getting deleted on the phone. I don't know what's up with that. Dang it. Whatever the hell you want to project it. I love that, man. So yeah, there's not one marriage in the Bible that I'd want. You know, not one. I don't want one, not one marriage in the Bible that I would emulate. It's amazing to me how people can act. It's amazing to me how many people go to these conferences about biblical marriages. And I'm like, why would you want a biblical marriage? Which one do you want? Do you want to be the 12-year-olds that gets pregnant mysteriously? Do you want to be the sister that gets raped? Which marriage do you want? Which biblical marriage you want? Like, no, it's weird. But again, once people are disconnected from cause and effect, you can convince them of anything. No, what you want is a biblical marriage. That's what you want? You want to get turned into a pillar of salt and then for him to sleep with your daughters and pretend like they got him drunk? That's the marriage you want? I know, it's foolishness. I remember one time, and this was in my later years, and I was just reading through Paul because I was in love with Paul as a believer. That's a little homoerotic. I was in love with Paul as a believer. And then one day I'm reading him, and Paul is, just reading the Bible, because when you read the Bible, you don't read it to learn. You don't read it to understand. You read it to just, like take it in, to let it marinate in you. So you do devotional reading with the Bible. And so he says, what fellowship has light with darkness? Motherfucker, behold the sky. There's plenty of fellowship with light and darkness. And that was like one of those moments like, how did I just, sucker for poetry. Sucker for poetry. What can I say? Man, every marriage in the Bible is fucked up. Like, why would you want a biblical marriage? All right. She says, I wondered if the Holy Spirit was trying to tell me something, that perhaps our marriage wasn't legitimate in the eyes of God. Now, think about that. Okay. Think about you're literally in a relationship with somebody. And I have a video that I want to do on this subject, because there's something called silent narcissism, and we don't talk about it. But imagine being in a relationship with somebody and they never talk to you directly. So you always have to try to figure out what they're saying. You always have to try to figure out what they mean. And the thing is, they're never going to confirm whether you got it right or wrong. You just have to kind of trust based off of what happens if you got it right. And that's what she is. She says, at the point, I'm in my marriage, and I'm wondering if God is trying to tell me I did something wrong. So she's like, maybe I just made one of the biggest mistakes of my life, and God knows it. And instead of him telling me directly, he's making me have to play these guessing games. Oh, just jalapeno, habanero. Hell yeah. Oh, man. My faith started dying around when I saw both my Christian family and community hitting me both physically and emotionally when I told them the Christian community was full of poison teachings. These are the stories that I know is true because I've seen it like in real time. I've seen prayer circles. I mean, things started breaking my heart at those early years because I started, watching the families I've watched and then thinking about other families. Like, man, there are people who disown their children because they have sex differently. we're not doing humanity right no more. Like you disowning your truth. I thought we left that kind of stuff like in the Middle Ages, hell, damn near Stone Ages. But they're like, no, Darante, right here in your community, absolutely. Oh man, if that is so true, growth creates distance. Now I say that in relationships, bro. Growth creates distance, and ultimately that's what it is for me. Is that I want us to wake up and grow up, because that's where the work is. And I realized, like, even when I was still in my Black nationalist days, I was an atheist then too, because there's a lot of Black atheists in the Black nationalist scene. Because it's almost like any Black person in America who's an atheist is like, yeah, we kind of need our own thing, because y'all might get rid of Trump this time, but it's only going to be another matter of time for y'all get another one. This is just how y'all do things around here. No, let me stop. Okay. But yeah, that growth definitely creates difference. They don't want you talking about Paul. What is going on with YouTube? I would tell YouTube if they don't get their act together, I'm gonna stop. But that wouldn't help me. I do want to figure out what's going on though. Jalapeno. Paul lies so much. Yes. Like, bro, that's not what God said. You just made that up. And I think that was another moment for me, is realizing, like, especially the way we practice Christianity in America, like, there is no difference between God and Paul. There's no difference between God and Peter. There's no difference between God and John. If John says it, it's just as good as God saying it, because it's in the Word of God. If David said it to somebody, not even saying it, he just said it to somebody in the narrative, that's God saying it. And I think that was one of my first videos was about my problems with the Word of God. It was like, this is problem. 3 times to get it sent. That is messed up. I love burritos. Okay, so now you're going to make me hungry. Okay, so she's wondering if the Holy Spirit is trying to tell her something, that maybe her marriage isn't legitimate in the eyes of God. She went on a fanatic research binge, probably could have taught a 100 level course on everything she learned, which was that whether their marriage was legitimate or not depended entirely on who you asked. Yep. The scriptures simply were not clear, even for something as important as this. And that is something that, like, that's something I wrestled with the entire time I was a believer, is that it's not clear. And I think that's one of the things that made me an effective communicator, because look at the bullshit that I'm working with, But it also, I navigated church quite quickly. I navigated the church world and kind of rose in it very quickly. But a part of that was because I was moving on from stuff as soon as I realized that, like, oh, these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And that was very, very so much my approach. And so by the time I was coming out on the other side, like people say, when did your deconstruction begin? Day damn one. Like the first, the day I got saved, there was somebody who had got saved too, and there was someone who had fell out under the Holy Spirit, and they laying on the floor and they looking around to see if it's their time to get up. And I'm like, oh, I thought this was like God doing it. But the problem was, because I've already bought into the God delusion, for lack of better words, because it's already kind of fully bought in, then that's just them. It's not something wrong with God. It's something wrong with these people, But no, oof. And so she said her conscience was gnawing at her, which she later found out was undiagnosed OCD. Now, damn it. Okay. Can I talk to all my neurospicy people out there? All my neurospicy people out there. Church owes us some money. If religion harmed anybody, it harmed the hell out of us who were neurospicy in a world that did not have language for that yet, because it made it really, really easy to convince us that something could be supernatural going on. Like, man, like I was convinced that I was really anointed and being used by God. And it's just really, I'm highly empathetic, like highly empathetic. I don't even have to know you. If you're crying around me, I'm going to cry too. If you're sad around me, I'm going to be sad with you. I'm just like, it's like a magnet. And you got all these people in the church world around you who are giving you this language. Oh, this is why you're this way. It's because God is using you. Man, what led me to leave Christianity is inadvertently joining a cult, putting my life in danger. Yes, 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 yes. You know, dang it. Did I mess up my computer? Okay. Yes, no, yes. You know, it's so weird to me that we don't recognize that the majority of all the cults we've had in this country have been Christian. So the people who are the most vulnerable to cultic tactics and strategies tend to be Christians, which is why many cult leaders, if not all of them, always use Jesus as the person they're imitating. I'll let you draw your own conclusions with that one. I don't know why I'm looking at this camera or this screen more than this screen. I don't know. It's weird. But no, that's wild. That's wild. Then a few years later, I was forced to sit helpless while my niece dropped out of high school to join a cult. That hurts. Okay. And so like, okay, this is important to me because I want to help create tools, trainings, resources, and whatever else we need to help people to no longer fall into the trap of cults anymore. Right? Because this is something like, this is a problem in us. This is a problem in us. And that's how I felt when I left religion. And y'all have heard me talk about it. I am a high accountability type of person. This is a problem in us. Cults exist because we need them. Cults exist because we support them. Cults exist because we join them. Cults exist because we don't trust ourselves. So like now, like anytime, like one of the things that we do at Bridge City, and which y'all have heard me kind of talk about leadership, that I have a very different approach than many others do, but I don't let anybody put me on a pedestal, right? Like you got to get rid of the pedestal culture completely. We all have functions. Nobody has a role higher than anybody else's role. We have functions. My main function in what we do with the ODD World Group is navigation and direction. Ashley's function is community. Zerniel's function is production. But at no point do I position myself as a person who has any type of authority or insight into anyone's personal life, nor do I have any responsibility to shape my personhood according to what others want or for others to see me as the leader they need. We have to mortify this hero worship culture. Man, it hurts. And we need a society. The whole thing, it is. Well, anything that removes your dependency from yourself and puts it on some fucking stranger, imaginary or otherwise, anything, including government. Like, no, that's highly problematic. You know, we get the abuses that we get in the church for the same reason we get the abuses that we get in the government. You know, cults exist because of us, not the other way around. And so we This is why I do. This is why we do the work. This is why we do the work. Like, oh my goodness, I just want to be free. I just want to be free. This is why I resist the version of leadership that most people accept. I am not about to be anybody's slave. You know, I'm not going to. I got to be free. And so I'm not going to hold anybody accountable to be in mine, which is what we've started to do in this society. Oh yeah, like man, that's why like I do warn people, like everybody likes to attack the mega churches, and I'm like, that's fun, but they only represent 5% of the churches. So that's not where a lot of harm is getting done. A lot of harm is getting done in a lot of these small. I'm not saying no harm is getting done in mega churches. I'm not saying that by a long shot. Not by a long shot. But I am saying there's a lot of what's that word? Damn it. I don't know. I'll have to come back to it later. Yeah, I do want to figure out what's going on with YouTube because that's gonna bother me. That's gonna bother me. But no, I do want us as a society to get better about figure out how to make that shift to the point where we're no longer as vulnerable to cultic strategies anymore. Mm. All right, so she says her conscience was gnawing at her so bad that she ended up having a complete crash out. Her husband had to take her to the ER to get anti-anxiety meds administered. And then she came under the care of a psychiatrist for a while. Like this is the real harm that people experience going through this. She says, I was so spiritually scorched by the experience, any thought of prayer or Bible reading could trigger real panic. And yet I wanted to find a church where I would fit in and not be a nervous wreck. And yet the more time I spent away from church, Bible reading and such, the stranger the whole thing began to look. Yeah, when you stand on the outside and look at it after you ain't did it in a while, you're like, yeah, this is really weird. Why are we talking about drinking the blood? Like, why would a good God need me to drink his blood? Just help me on why would a good anything need me to drink his blood? But then that also brings us to another that became a real issue with me. Less than mega us micro churches, right? Maybe nano churches. It's just very, very interesting. Like, why does Jesus need permission? Why did Jesus need my permission for him to save me? Like, could you imagine like how like we would not have comics today if that's how salvation logic really worked? Like, because comics have salvation logic, right? And the salvation logic of most comic characters is if you see somebody in trouble, save them. Not Jesus. I'm not saving you because you're in trouble. I will not save you until you crown me your king. Yikes. All right. Thank you for hanging out with us today. He's only flesh and blood from dust to dust, ashes to ashes. In the end, Jesus was just fertilizer. Oh, I like that. Okay. She said, I began letting my brain ask the questions I hadn't let it ask since a very young age. This was before I even knew that there was a thing called deconstruction, and I wasn't consulting any atheist or ex-Christian sources. All I knew is that eventually I came to the conclusion that the God of the Bible was logically and morally incoherent, and I could not explain the hell part of the plan of salvation without sounding ridiculous or monstrous, because it was both, you know? Oh, man. You can send it to my email at dl@dldd.us. dl@dldd.us. All right. And last point, currently I identify as spiritual, but not religious. I think there is more to reality than what our normal senses reveal, but I make no absolute truth claims about anything. I can't demonstrate to be true anything that I can't demonstrate to be true. I'm content having a private spirituality that helps me appreciate nature and the beauty of all human beings. Thanks for listening to my story. I deeply appreciate what you're doing and the clarity with which you speak. Now that is beautiful. That is beautiful. Now, that's the that was that was the point where I want to remind people that like everybody doesn't end at the same spot. And so like there was a part of me like even reading one sentence, I think there is more to reality than what our normal senses reveal, right? And immediately like there's a reflex in me that says like what is more than reality? You know what I'm saying? But that is a reflex that I do often try to temper. 'Cause I'm like, no, that's not the point. She's not giving me a claim that she's saying I gotta operate. She's saying this is what she's coming to. She's like, this is where I am in my life. And that's the safety that we have to remind people because that we have to remind ourselves of and have to re-provide to people is that like, yeah, you're gonna come to your own conclusions. Like most of us are gonna be wrong. But I love the fact that she says, I'm just fine having my own personal type of spirituality. And I do consider myself a spiritual person. However, I use spirit based off of the original meaning, not the not this other stuff that we've done with it. And that original meaning is still in practice. We still use spirit in modern society outside of religious context. We have Spirit Week in colleges, you know. We talk about the spirit of liberty and things like that. So in that sense, I'm still a spiritual person. I'm just not a supernaturalist. I have more of a natural spirituality, if you want to say it that way. But even if I didn't, even if I wasn't a spiritual person, it wouldn't bother me when other people are, right? Like even I've said now, I don't consider myself anti-religious. Now I know many of the people who support the work that I do and are part of the work that I do, they are vehemently anti-religious. As in, I'm not anti-religious. I'm anti-superstition, and you can do with that what you will, you know, type of thing. But I actually like that other people have their own ways of engaging the world, their own narratives about ultimate ends, and that doesn't bother me at all, especially when they're sitting in the reality that, like, yeah, I don't really know. That's the safest place to be for me with those claims, and it's the most genuine place to be for me. I was talking to my oldest son I think it had to be last night while we were on the way to the soccer game, and I told him, and we'll close it here. And I told him, I said, one of the things that really bothered me after leaving church is realizing that we were pretending to know things that we weren't actually even trying to know. And that's the entire history of Christianity is we're going to make these claims about the history of the cosmic universe, and we're just going to kill anybody who says anything differently. You know, for the longest time, this is why it took us a while to get some real astronomical philosophers, because we were killing them all. We were killing the people who were trying to figure it out. Like that's damaging. It's dl@dldd.us. It's like that's the scary part. That's the ways that we've been damaging ourselves. Ooh. And so it's wild. It's wild. But yeah, I do love it that people are finding their own new ways of interacting with whatever you call it, nature. To me, my sense of spirituality is just really rooted in my relationship with people and how I feel. It is my spirituality is my psychology and my response to life in general. I don't need anything that I don't understand to be there. Like I don't need my life to be validated by something I don't know if it exists or not. Like I no longer need that. I think some people still do for whatever reason, but for me, it's like, no, I'm good. We're floating apes, space rock, got it. No, God, got it. You know, like to me, like the word supernatural literally makes no sense to me anymore. Doesn't make any sense to me at all anymore. Like what I don't know. Like even when you're dead, you're still in the natural world, you know. So I don't get it, and I don't have a need for it. If it shows up one day, nice, huh? But I'm not going to pretend that it's shown up before it has. And at this moment, you know, especially because I was the real spiritual person, like, oh, my services was on fire, like they were dope, like we were gonna go there because I was so spiritual. You know what I'm saying? But like the thing, some people come from that and they say, oh, all of that was fake. That wasn't my experience. Now, there was a lot of faking going on, trust me. But the idea of it being fake is not the way that I really approach it. The way I approach it is like, oh, now I understand the psychology that's happening here. Now I understand terms like collective effervescence. So these things that we're feeling during these services that we're attributing to the supernatural are all very natural phenomena and are indisguisable from the same things that we indisguisable from the same things that we experience at concerts. This might actually be the real reason that Christians were so anti-concerts, especially the Pentecostals, because they don't want you to go to the concert because they don't want you to recognize that what you're feeling here is the same thing you're feeling there, you know? And it's just like, what? So now I understand it better and I understand that phenomenon. And I'm gonna tell you, some of the best moments of my life were in those experiences. And I'm not running from those experiences. I want more of them. I just don't want the bullshit. No, I love singing with other people. I love playing music. I love playing music with other people. I love being in the room with other people while hearing something that challenges me to think and challenges me to grow. I just don't want to pretend anymore. So no, I still want to be in places that are challenging me, that are keeping me on my toes. I still want to be in places where I get to hang and assemble and gather with other people and have people to talk to, have people to call on. No, I still want that in my life. I just don't want the bullshit. I am no longer making reactionary or reflexive decisions in my life. I'm not, oh, I'm leaving the church. So now anything that looks like that, I'm staying away from. That's not an exercise in intelligence either. So where I end up being situated at is I'm just going to do the things that are beneficial. Things that I can demonstrate are beneficial for my life and are beneficial for the lives of others. That's how I'm going to live my life from now on. And if I can make those environments possible, man, that's what Bridge City is on a mission to do. You know, damn it, I didn't mean to preach, but jalapeno anyway. You know what I'm saying? All right, listen, y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me today. I've had an incredible time with y'all. I tried to stay in the chat as much as I could. We will see what's. Dang, did I miss some super chats? Let me see. Look at there. Oh, snap. Thank you. Thank you, Monica. You are a true friend. Damn, did I miss Myth Vision? Derek was in here too? Man, Derek, I don't know if you're still here. I know you're a busy man, but thank you for popping in. See, they ain't showing me all the stuff. Why y'all don't be hollering at me when people be giving me money? Y'all need to holler at me. Don't be letting people give me money and I don't thank them, and because then I look like a jackass, you know. But no, y'all are. Oh man, thank you all. Thank you all. Yeah, please hit that like button, that subscribe button. I cannot believe I've stayed in here for 2 hours on a Wednesday, but this conversation was good. Like it was a pivot. Um, I after reading the message and responding, I was like, you know what? I really want to talk about this with the community because I think they'll get something from this. I got to give y'all some music to ride out to. I know what it's gonna be. I know what it's gonna be. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. I love y'all so much. If you're not already streaming Bridge City Music, that is actually a very easy way to support what we're doing with Bridge City. It's a very easy way to support the work. Every 1,000 streams is technically a $5 donation. So you know you can be given a $5 donation to Bridge City every week just by streaming the heck out of that music. And we've made it easy for you. It's not just a handful of songs anymore. It's a growing catalog. And it's very diverse. But if you're looking for something to kind of lift you up without tearing you down, if you're looking for something to help kind of reorient you without requiring you to cover yourself in foolishness, then Bridge City Music is the way to go. We're streaming on all platforms now. And on Spotify, guess what? Listen to this. On Spotify, we now have 30 monthly listeners, and we've only been on there for a month. 80% of channels on Spotify are, I don't know if they're called channels, but that's what I'm gonna call it. 80% of channels on Spotify never get over 50 monthly listeners. And we're already at 30 in our first month. I don't know what's gonna happen on the other end, but I think that's a positive sign. It at least means that people are liking the music. So that means that there's likely a need, a market for this type of motivational work. So that's exciting. That's incredibly exciting for me. Oh, thank you. Became a YouTube member. Come on, man. I love our YouTube members. I love our YouTube members. All right. I keep saying I'm gonna go, but then y'all keep saying stuff, and Dark Light will keep me in here all day. Man, we definitely got to have another live group chat in Bridge City. We'll be hanging out. We'll be hanging out tonight for the game house, and then game house, new member house party. We're doing it in the game area of our campus. I gotta go. My words are getting tongue tied. Listen, I love y'all. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. If you need to pick me up, check out Bridge City Music. Until next time, man, y'all keep rising. Holla at you later.
Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. We are rising into victory, celebrating our humanity. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Hey, hey. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Yeah. We are rising into victory, celebrating our humanity. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. You say. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. You say. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free.